gosh, welcome back. Our next guest is a multi-platinum singer, songwriter, producer, and dance music pioneer who was named by Billboard magazine as one of the most successful dance artists of all time.
Yes. And not surprised to hear, she's got over 100 million streams on Spotify and more than 7 million monthly podcast listeners. And this summer, her dance hit, you just heard it, 100% Pure Love, it was named the official anthem of New York City Pride. Please welcome to the show, the one and only Crystal Waters!
Okay, Crystal, we are so delighted to have you here. We want to go back in time. You came from a musical family. Your dad was a jazz musician.
Yes.
Your uncle and your aunt were both musicians. But I've heard, and is it true, that a psychic was actually the one who kind of really pushed you towards music?
Yes, it was a psychic. I was working for the DC government, and I was so bored with my job, and my mom said, she was into psychics. She said, well, go see a psychic and see what they say. And I went down there, and I got up in the morning, I was feeling really good, but when I got to, it was a convention, I lost my voice, and the psychic said, well, you need to do something with your voice, there's something with your voice. I was like, oh, please, I'm not gonna do anything. I didn't really like to talk or anything. And I got back to work, and my friend said, well, you love music. I have an uncle that has a studio. He wants some background singers. And he said, I'll go if you go. I went to the studio, got the job, and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right, so one of your biggest hits is very well known by the chorus alone. Of course, I'm talking about Gypsy Woman, and you said you wrote it about a woman that you met in Washington, D.C. How did she change you?
Well, the story goes, this woman used to stand in front of a hotel I used to pass by almost weekly. She was dressed fully in black, full face of makeup, and she was singing gospel songs for money. And I used to think, oh, she needs to go get a job. She looks fine. And then the local paper did a whole story on her saying how she was in retail at the cosmetic counter. She had lost her job. And she felt as if she was going to ask you for money, she should look respectable and be respectable. And it told the whole story about how it all happened, and it really just changed my opinion of homeless people and how it happens and how it could happen to anybody. She's just like you and me. So that's where the song came from.
It's deep.
That's great.
And it still hits.
It
and
still
it still
resonates.
resonates.
I've sweat out my hair plenty of times.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think a lot of people don't know what it's about. They're just dancing, then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
It's deep. It's a deep cut for sure. So as we heard, you didn't necessarily grow up performing. And is it true that the first time that you actually ever really, really performed was on television for the very first time?
Yep, because I was a very shy child. Everybody in my family were musicians, my father, my brother, my sister, and I was the one in the bedroom with just the headphones on. So when I started writing these songs, I was actually writing the song for somebody else. I had no idea that I was going to end up being the one singing it. So when the song came out, it hit so fast and it went so big. The first thing I ever performed on was Top of the Pops in London.
Wow.
And it was a long day. It was really, I changed outfits like 5 times. The label was there and changed outfits like 5 times. But I always remember that I never had any stage fright. It's like when I got out there, I felt comfortable, like that's where I was supposed to be.
Wow.
Yeah, that's fantastic. All right, so your podcast, I Am House radio show has over 9 million listeners on a monthly basis.
Yes.
Can we just give her a round of applause for that? All right, so for people who want to be introduced to house music, what artists would you recommend and what new artists are you excited about right now?
I would always, first of all, I always say go back to the original, go back to the old school, like the Frankie Knuckles, David Morales, and Louis Vega. And then go from there. I mean, there's a lot of new people out. That's why I have the podcast to let people know there's fresh new house music out there, and where you can hear vocal house. And there's a lot of new ones, like Many Few, there's Random Soul, which these guys are blending some of the old school with the new school. But it's still, you know, if you want to clean up your house, you want to exercise, there's some music for you to listen to and get involved with. And not all of us are in the clubs anymore, so.
That's the music. We're cleaning our house to that music now.
So put it on while you're cleaning your house. That's something. But I'm really enjoying it. I'm meeting a lot of new producers. I'm getting ready to work with a lot of them and put out some new music. So it's been a lot of fun.
That's exciting.
Wow.
Little tease. You're in Toronto to support the Canadian Foundation for AIDS Research, also known as CANFAR. They have an annual fundraising gala in support of HIV and AIDS research.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how the 2S LGBTQ+ community has influenced your music and your sound?
Oh, yeah. When I started back in the 90s, dance music started in the gay clubs. It was started, you know, by Black and Latino, gay, straight and gay, but And they've always supported me from day one. I always tell people a drag queen taught me how to do my makeup. And I was always in the dance community. I always had dancers, and that was my community. And a lot of those people did not make it through the 90s. That's when AIDS really came in and hit really hard. So I always, I'm always trying to give back, always trying to help. It's come a long way since then because it was, I did a lot of gay prides where they were throwing stuff at us and, just saying bad names at us. So to come this far and to be here now, to still be able to help and give back and make sure it still continues is very, very important to me.
What's important is that you are here with us and still doing your thing. Thank you, Crystal, for joining us.
Thanks
what a
for
pleasure.
having me. I appreciate
What a
it.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, you, come a bit closer. We've got so many more must-see interviews, spicy debates, lifestyle tips, and pop culture moments. So subscribe to our channel by tapping the logo below and don't miss out.